in this lesson, we will create like a new version of one report, and of course, it's going to be just very simple because we'll just copy the original to create like the new version. Maybe this is just because we are afraid of messing things up with the original report, so we can just create like a new version and change some things there, and well, then just evaluate if it's the better version. Now, what's important, of course, is that we'll also use this opportunity to create a relationship between the two sections that we created for the previous report. If you remember, the sections are a bit like vertical, but what's interesting is that we have like two separate sets of data that at first you might even say like, okay, they have nothing to do, or why would I want them in the same report? Because one is the section for the costs, and the other one is the section for statistical key figures. But actually, even that's something kind of common. The thing that we will create, it's a report that will calculate the costs per square meter. So then we can just evaluate each area, for example, and then decide well, where are the biggest costs. So well, let's start this, and of course we will just use the GRR1 transaction to create a new report. Okay, now as we have been saying, we will create like a new version of this, the last report that we just set up in the previous lesson. So let's just only modify the last digit. This is going to be like version 2. And let's just enter the, like a description, is going to be section with a calculation. With a cell calculation, actually. This is what's also going to be really interesting, because we will see the way in which we have to, or the steps that we need to follow to select that one or two fields are set up as key fields that we can use in a calculation, even though if they belong to another section, we can do this. So well, let's show the steps. And of course, at first we have our main section just with the costs, but the fields that we want to set up as key fields for the calculations are in the next section. So let's just actually go to next section. And the only thing we need to do is we need to set up what column, well, actually, sorry, what cells. So that just means the intersection of column and row are the ones that we want to define as key fields that can be involved in a calculation. So for this, we only have to come to the cell that we want to mark, and we just double click the cell. And as you can see now, well, let me switch here. As you can see, now we have a little check mark in the field. And let's do the same for plan, in this scenario, for plan statistical key figure. So actual and plan, square meters. So well, now that we have this set up correctly, actually this is the secondary section. Let's go back to the main section, because the formula, we will have this formula in the main section. So let's just come back here, section, previous section, and well, we will just create a new column, which is going to be a formula. What's also interesting, we'll show that in the next step, but when we double click and the system set up that check mark, the system also assigned a key for those two particular cells. So let's see how can we involve them in the formula. So just let's double click, and again we want this new column to be a formula. So with that selected, let's click confirm. And well, this is what we were just saying. We have all the columns, which of course they run from X001 to X006, even the ones in the like next horizontal pages and all that. But we also have the cells that we selected as a cell that was like a key cell for calculations. And of course, the difference, I think it's pretty obvious. It's popping right immediately, because instead of being an X, we have them as Z. So what we want now is just to enter the formula, and this one we want the actual costs, and of course we want to divide. So let's just click the slash. So again, we have the formula being shown here, but this is the main difference. We will divide the actual costs divided by the actual square meters. So let's select that one, and that's pretty much it for this one. So let's just click confirm, and of course we need to enter a description. So let's just enter, for example, costs by square meter. Okay, and copy short text and confirm. Now we will just have another column just for the plan costs divided by the plan square meters. So double click, and this is again going to be a formula, of course. Then we have to be careful here. We want X002 because these are planned costs. So X002, and well, we will divide that by, so we need the slash. And at first we don't even see the cells because we have a new column. But of course we have these icons just to go to the next page, or even if it's a lot of pages, we can just go to the last one. But well, right now we only have like 2. So we click here, next page. And again, as we have been saying, we want the plan costs divided by the plan square meters. So let's just click set 002, and that's it, exactly what we want. So let's just have it like this now. This is like plan costs divided by the plan square meters. Okay, copy the short text and confirm. And then, of course, well, we have a new report. Let's just check, or at least this new version of our original report. Let's just check that everything's correct. Let's save this, and well, we will just add this to or assign this to a new to a report group. What's going to be interesting here, it's we won't create in this time around, we won't create a new report. So we will just assign this to the previous report. So let's click assign report group there. What will be the benefit? Well, first of all, it makes just all the sense in the world. Most of the times that is what we want, have multiple reports in one report group. But also it makes just sense here because it is like this report that we have at here in the background is just like the new version of the previous report. That just means also all the data that it's involved in the previous report is also involved in this new report. Actually, the only difference is that we have some extra formulas. But remember, the formulas is something that SAP won't query the database for. They are just calculations, right? So having the 2 reports in one report group, it's again a very good option now, because just with one query, the report painter can fill the data for both reports and show all that data to the end user. So well, let's click continue. And to show this, actually, well, let's just execute, because what's going to be interesting is that, well, we will have both reports available. But again, given that, for example, each time we change or we switch to the report, the system won't have to query again the database. Well, the switch happens like in milliseconds. So this is fine with the parameters for the report group. So let's just execute. And again, well, first of all, you might be surprised and you might be, oh, where are the columns? But again, remember, and we have a key difference now, that well, we have the section here on the left hand side, and in this left section we can switch to the other reports. So let me switch to the next one, and of course here we have the reports. So this is key. Just to realize, I mean, like now we have 2 reports. And also what it's really important, what it's key to notice is that the switching, it's like in milliseconds, as we were saying, because again, both reports basically they have the same data, right? This is just the main difference. In the second report, in the section will cell calculation report, we have these two extra additional columns. And what's important, of course, is that what also should call our attention is that we are involving data from section 2 in section 1. So actually, well, we pretty much we don't have anything in the actual statistical key figure. That's the reason we have all this column empty. But for the plan, the system is just dividing. So we have costs of 100, and we have 100 meters, of course. So 100 divided by 100, we have like 1 here. But this is happening for all the other plan values as well. So this one, for example, which is 848, then we divide by 100, and we get like 8.48. So I mean, and so on and so forth for all the other rows. So again, really interesting. We have seen or are seeing now multiple things that are interesting. First, the fact that we can relate data from one section and just involve that data in a calculation of in the other section. And what's also important is that well, now in the just a report group we have two reports, for example, and just the switching between one or the other is just transparent. And even, of course, I mean, like we have, because I mean this was just a faithful copy of the original, so we have the horizontal page, I mean everything is here, but even some additional data that will be calculated using these formula columns and involving some fields from other of the sections. So well, that is just great. That is what we wanted. And now, well, let's just go back. Do you want to exit the report? Yes. And well, nice features again that we have when we create our own reports. Even some things a bit advanced that we don't have in some just of the other standard reports. But that's great. We finished with this lesson, and we just want to thank you all.